Player 2 has joined the game.
Hey yo, what's up everybody? Kevin from 2Player Co-op here doing a little bit of a different video today. First off, yes, I know I need a haircut, but that's not why we're here today. I want to do something a little bit different with this video. Back in the past, we used to do these videos that we would call quick hits, and we kind of got away from that a long time ago. But yeah, I didn't want to wait for the podcast to go up to talk about this. So this will be a lot shorter video than we normally do. Let me know what you think, and here we go. Of course, we are here to talk about Metal Gear Solid. Apparently, possibly, maybe, getting a remake on the PS5. So let me read this first. This comes from Push Square. Here's a doozy of a rumor for you. Metal Gear Solid, the PS1 classic, is being remade again, and it's coming to PS5 and PC. This is according to YouTube channel Red Gaming Tech, which has been known to provide some accurate leaks in the past, although they specialize in hardware information rather than software. Still, according to their source, a source that apparently has a 100% track record up to this point, this supposed Metal Gear Solid revival is a full remake, not just some kind of port or remaster. The source also states that Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and 4 are all being re-released, but it sounds like they're set to be remasters rather than full remakes. It's unclear whether they're coming to PS5 as well, or whether they're just targeting PC. We don't know how far into development the Metal Gear Solid remake is, but its rumored existence does tie into reports that we've heard elsewhere. For starters, we know that Sony has been flashing its cash to third-party publishers in order to lock down exclusive PS5 deals. A remake of Metal Gear Solid, arguably the most beloved installment in a series synonymous with PlayStation, certainly fits the bill when you consider that Sony dished out serious dosh, you can tell this is from the UK, for timed exclusivity on a very similar project, namely Final Fantasy VII Remake. But is Konami really going to pump money into crafting a full-blown remake of Metal Gear Solid? Without a doubt, stranger things have happened, but the Japanese publisher is something of an enigma these days, which makes it an easy starting point for all kinds of rumors. Remember Silent Hills on PS5? Heck, maybe that's happening as well, and Konami's really getting back into the swing of things. Anyway, this is certainly one to keep an eye on. So, this article touched on a couple of things that I want to talk about. Namely, these Silent Hill rumors have been going around for quite a while now, and it's odd that there's this many rumors if there's nothing actually happening there. Also, we do know that Microsoft just bought Bethesda. We'll talk about it on the podcast. I'm not going to talk about that here. They bought ZeniMax, who owns Bethesda and id, and yada, yada, yada. So it really is... The timing to me is lining up. Now, obviously, Sony can't just go out and say, hey, we want to remake Metal Gear Solid just as soon as it got announced that Microsoft had bought ZeniMax. But also, like they touched on the article, Sony has been locking down third-party exclusives, and they must be putting out a lot of money, or dosh, as this article calls it, which just made me laugh. I didn't read that before. But just a few of them here. So I guess it's just timed exclusivity on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy XVI, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo. They're both still coming, even though Xbox bought ZeniMax. Godfall is a launch game. Don't really care about it. And then Square Enix also showed off Project Athia. We do know that there were some Metal Gear Solid games. I think it was Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and maybe the original Metal Gear got rated for PC in Taiwan. So there's something definitely happening there. They could just be re-releasing those games without remastering them or anything, but who knows. The other thing I want to bring up is that Blue Point is pretty much done with Demon Souls. That's the big project they were working on with Sony Japan. Obviously, we know that's a launch game now on the PS5. And you got to think back to Blue Point's really annoying tweet from forever ago, where they teased remakes of every game under the sun. One of those games was Metal Gear Solid, was teased in there as well. So you got to think about that as well. Also, Tokyo Game Show is happening as we speak, and Konami does have a presentation or a panel or something, I believe, on the 27th. So that was one of the other reasons I wanted to do this before the podcast came out, because this could all either come to fruition or it could be completely debunked by the time the podcast goes live next week. So I wanted to do it now. But what do I think will actually happen? If you've been following us for a while, you know, every year up until this year when we've done our E3 predictions, I was always predicting a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. The reason for that is that it's my favorite game of all time. As we talked about in our very lengthy episode 200 where we ranked our top 50 games, the controls aren't the best. I'll say that. I still say the story is the best one ever told, and I've been wanting a remake of that game forever, ever since I played Metal Gear Solid 5. I want it in the Fox engine. I want Metal Gear Solid 5's control scheme. Probably won't happen in the Fox engine at this point, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. I want the cutscenes to remain completely intact, just prettier, same voice acting, same everything, same choreography, everything. Don't change anything. Some people have said, well, Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake won't work because it'd be too easy if you've got 5's control scheme. Completely, I'm talking about a remake, not a remaster. Change the enemy placements. Put different enemies in. Add enemies. Do certain things to the levels to where there's certain, like, there's more trees or something that you could sneak around, whatever. I want it to be a full remake. And that's really what I think this should be. Now, as much as I want Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, of all the Metal Gear Solids, the one that does need a remake the most is Metal Gear Solid 1. I'm not going to talk about Twin Snakes, because that was not a good thing. But Metal Gear Solid 1, as much as I love that game, trying to go play it now, first off, you can't. We're not getting backwards compatibility, so you're not going to be able to plug in your PS1 disc and play it. It is a PS1 classic, but you can't play that on PS4, I'm pretty sure. I think you can only play it on PS3 and Vita. And even if you can't, or you can get the PlayStation Classic. I have one. I have no idea why. I've played it once. But even if you can play that, it's as great a game as it was at the time, and it's one of my top 10 games of all time. It doesn't really hold up if you're coming into it for the first time. That game desperately needs a remake, and I really hope it does get one. So kind of like what I talked about with Metal Gear Solid 3, you couldn't just do a remake of this and keep all the levels the same, all the enemies the same. I really think this has to be a remake, just like I was talking about with 3. Keep all the cutscenes the same, make them prettier, same voice acting. If you can use the original recordings, great. If not, get David Hayter and everybody else back to reprise their roles. I'm sure they would love to do it. You've seen all these old Metal Gear stars, Paul Eiding and everybody. They've been doing these random codec calls either for like Ford commercials a few years ago. There's one that just came out about wearing your mask, I think, or something. They love Metal Gear. I think they would be down to come back and do this. But when you think about what a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake might look like, spoiler alert for Metal Gear Solid 4, in Act 4 there, you go back to Shadow Moses, and I'll never forget that moment. I didn't have it spoiled for me beforehand. When they say they're going back to Shadow Moses, and you land, and you go through all the snow, which you've never seen before, like outside the base, you make your way into the base, and then it just kind of clears, and you can see Shadow Moses. It's all decrepit and run down and everything, because it's been however many years, I think 9 years since the Shadow Moses incident in canon. It took my breath away. I almost started crying. Like, I could not believe what I was seeing with the beautiful PS3 cell architecture and all that. I couldn't believe that I was seeing Shadow Moses in HD on the PS3. It was amazing. So they've kind of already modeled some of Shadow Moses. I don't know that they could use any of that, or if they'd want to just throw it out and start over. Who knows? But when I think of what Shadow Moses could look like, what I think of is Metal Gear Solid 4, that part in Act 4 where you go back to Shadow Moses. Also, a lot of people have been saying, like, hey, Sony can get the rights and let Kojima Productions do it. I don't think this is something Kojima wants to do. Like, I've heard other people say he's clearly looking forward. He doesn't want to look back. He did Death Stranding. He had another game after Death Stranding that supposedly got canceled. Obviously, he's working on something now. I don't think it would be Kojima Productions to do it. I could see Kojima at least serving on the game in some fashion. A consultant, an overseer, make him just an executive producer or something, so that he's still kind of overseeing what the team is doing and making sure that it still fits his vision for what Metal Gear Solid was and what it still is, even if he's not working on the game. And I don't think you really need him for a remake. The bones are there, the skeleton is there. You've got the story, you've got the characters, you've got the dialogue, everything. I don't really think you need Kojima to really head up the remake of this game. I don't know. I really, honestly, the two games that need a remake the most are probably the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. But you can't really remake those. Those would be creating new games completely from scratch. So that's a much harder task than just remaking something that's already there. I would love to see Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 get the full, next-gen treatment at some point. And maybe if this actually does happen and it does well, maybe we get there. I don't know. But those are the two games I would absolutely love to see get the full remake treatment. But that kind of sums up my thoughts. I want to believe. I do think it is happening. I've got my hopes up for Metal Gear so many times over the last 5 years and then had them dashed completely. But I really think I don't think we need to rely on Konami for this. I think this is something where Sony says, hey, Microsoft, we'll give you X percentage of the sales or something on the back end or whatever. Let us make the game. Just give us the IP, license it to us. Let us make the game. You'll get your money out of it. That's really all you care about. You care about your pachinko machines and Yu-Gi-Oh cards and fitness centers and all this other stuff. You don't care about making games anymore. Just give it to us. Let us do it. But I still think the reason I brought up TGS is that I could still see it happening on Konami's presentation panel, whatever they're doing at TGS. That would be the perfect place to announce something like this, even if it is still a couple years off, which I have to assume that it is. But yeah, final thoughts. I really hope it's real. I think it's real. I don't know why I do this to myself. But if it is real, I hope it's Sony that's the ones handling it and not Konami. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on the Metal Gear Solid Remake. Let me know down below what you guys think. Also, let me know, like I said, what you think about these shorter style of videos. For any hot news, items that pop up or anything, just let me know if this is something you'd like to see more of the future. Yeah, and that's it. So until next time, thank you for playing.